Welcome back. It's heading towards the end game. We have less than 2 hours remaining, and you know what? It has not been decided, not fully this one, and certainly not in GT Pro. Now, I've got to tell you, Richard Lietz has not got to take a tyre stop, but Darren Turner does, and that's going to be the crucial difference between the pair of them. They have 2 more stops to go. Only the Aston needs rubber. It's going to be a difference of 20 seconds in the pits. Darren Turner's car leads at the moment by not very much.
I think it was down to around, was it 10 seconds?
Yeah, exactly.
Something like
we expect that position to change. Traffic can have an impact. Of course, the weather can. It is going to be mega in the pro class. We'll see. The timing boards just show Tom Christensen out front at the moment, and why would he not be? Anthony Davidson 2 laps adrift of him at the moment. Ollie Jarvis, though, is in 3rd place with Nico Lapierre just dropping back 1 spot. So it's Audi's 1 and 2. Tom Christensen, Christa's risen, I think the big sign was a few years ago when he won yet another Le Mans. Is he going to make it 9?
Well, he's certainly pumping in fast lap times, isn't he? And they're 2 laps ahead. Or 1 lap ahead, is it? One and a bit laps.
Yes, 1 and a bit laps. It's more than enough, and in the hands of Tom Christensen, who's doing the final stint here, then you would not bet against them actually delivering the goods. And that's what we want. You
wouldn't want anyone else to drive your car, only Tom Christensen, would you?
Absolutely
8
not.
times Le Mans winner.
The voice of Damien Faulkner, and we've just been joined by the voice very much of endurance racing. It's Jeremy Shaw. Jeremy, we understand that the Porsche of Lietz does not need tyres to run to the end, but the Aston does. That could be the crucial difference on their stops.
Yeah, the last stops that these 2 teams made, the Aston did not change tyres. The Porsche did. Handed over the car from Mark Lieb to Richard Lietz. I had a chat with Olaf Mante when after that stop took place. He said, yeah, they're good to go now on the driver. They're good to go on the tyres. At least that's the plan. The question was whether they would need a splash of fuel at the end of the race, so that might be interesting. But yeah, I think the Aston Martin probably will be due a complete stop as well. But effectively now, what's the lead now that the...
It's only 9.2 seconds, and what's the difference going to be? 20 seconds on the stop? So it's going to be
down a lot.
It should be about the same difference, but they should change spots if all goes smooth.
Well, before that round of pit stops, the Porsche led the Aston Martin by about 6.5 seconds. After the stop, when the Aston didn't take on tyres and the Porsche did, the gap was,
I think it was
about 17 seconds, yes. So that gap now has come down from all the way through the previous stint. The gap had changed by maybe a second. I mean, it was virtually identical.
Well, you know what?
But Richard Lietz told me before he got in the car, he couldn't wait to get out there because he loves these sort of tricky conditions. I think when he first went out, there was still some sort of sprinkles of rain out there. He said he loves these conditions. He can't wait to get out there.
Clearly he does. He's got over a second a lap on Darren Turner. With just under 2 hours of racing left. You know what? He may have just caught him on track anyway. We'll see. This may be that Turner and the Aston 97 car, the ARC car, is indeed suffering, but the rain's coming down, and this could yet be another little roll of the dice here for everybody. What tyres do you take? I mean, if he has got to make the stop and it's absolutely binning it and he goes for wets, then he's going to be in a happy place.
Yeah, that's right. And I saw about, I don't know what it was, half an hour, 40 minutes or so ago. Look at the spots of rain there. It's not raining heavily yet here. Not raining at all here,
actually. As predicted by Audi just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, really.
That it was going to rain in 5 minutes at Tête Rouge.
My goodness, it's amazing, isn't it? I'm actually looking at some very big pregnant clouds. If one of those happens to burst over the circuit, even on part of it, it's going to make for some very, very mixed conditions.
It is. It's going to make it very dicey indeed. But about 40 minutes ago,
keep going. You do a good job.
The Straka team came in and they had wets and dries ready to go. They invented to go with dry weather tyres, and the number 42 Greaves Racing car, Michael Krum did a stint on cut slick tyres, actually. And then he changed to Jan Mardenborough, took over the wheel of that car, and they also changed to full slick tyres. But he was running cut slicks, so you know, soft tyres with some grooves in them, just in case there was any precipitation.
Tell you what, Damien, I've been so impressed with Jan Mardenborough. Young lad, we spoke to him before we actually went racing. He has been unbelievable in that Zytek. Young boy, gamer, comes in, sits down, takes the car, and almost delivers a podium. He's still in very much with a shout. They're running fourth at the moment, the 42 car.
Yeah, it's sort of akin to these sort of pop groups that are managed by Simon Cowell, isn't it? It's it makes the rest of us look bad, to be honest. But
yes,
we did it the hard way.
Yeah,
but it's amazing these guys can just come in from driving PlayStations, really.
It's amazing if you tap into a seam of talent, often undiscovered previously. Then you reap the benefits of being first, and it's a go-to kind of place, really, what Nissan and the PlayStation program is actually providing. This GT Academy has been amazing, hasn't it?
It certainly has, Carlton, because 2 years ago, if you think that was the first year that the program's winner had gone on to this sort of level, and Sebastian and Ordóñez he finished on the podium, didn't he?
Yep.
And here we are. Last year he drove the Delta Wing, which didn't finish. This year, Jan Mardenborough is on course to perhaps match that feat, and given how competitive P2 is now, it's way more competitive than it was even 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
So no, that effort has been quite remarkable.
Well, there you are, the voice of Jeremy Shaw. We have Damien Faulkner as well here, and we will be in your company for the next 50 minutes or so, and the run for home, we are on it right now. Ollie Jarvis in the 3 car, looking at it right now. That has been a supreme performance by Audi. We're just wondering whether Dr. Wolfgang Ullrich was going to go and give them the codes for the extra juice. There is a mapping formula that these guys can hit, which will shorten their range but increase their power. We're just wondering whether it's on the cards. I understand we'll find out now, maybe.
Tough race in more ways than one, in a very close battle between Audi and Toyota. Did you expect it to be as close as it is now?
I expected that it will be very, very close. So this is not really a surprise to us. It was a battle from the beginning to now. And there is another 2 hours to race, so nothing is decided.
Is the message now just to push as hard as possible to the drivers all the way to the finish?
There is no other way to go. If you don't push 100%, there is no way to be on the podium.
Thank you. We wish you luck.
Well, will they be turning the wick up? Can they? I mean, it is a mystery technically to me how they just managed to produce it again and again. Oh, Jerry.
Just looking at the screen there, car number 92 spun at
which is
19, which
Richard
is
Leeds.
Yeah,
exactly. Which means that Darren Turner is kind of off the leash, spun and continued, but lost 10 seconds at that point. It's now 22 seconds. We reckon they've got to make the same amount of stops, and the difference between the pair of them, because of the tyre change for the Aston, is 20 seconds. It means that if all goes absolutely clean as a whistle, they'll be separated by 2.1 seconds, and it'll be the Aston in front. Basically, you can't call it. It's as simple as that. They're going to race right until the very end. That's the first spin. We were talking about the possibility of rain and it being a factor, and so it is proving to be.
We just heard from Dr. Ullrich there. He's got a lap and a bit of an advantage with the number 2 Audi and Tom Christensen, and he's not even calling it. He's not getting carried away, certainly. He's been to Le Mans and conquered Le Mans quite a few times, obviously. A master. And so, you know, this battle, you just couldn't call it. It's too close. But it's fantastic. It's great for the viewers, isn't it? It's great for us.
I'm just wondering if at Marshall Point 19, whether we actually had a camera on it at that point. Haven't seen the pictures yet. We're going to take a break, and we'll keep an eye on it. And with a bit of luck, we will record it if those pictures do pop up. No spot of them yet.
No, I think it's probably down by the Forest S's, isn't it?
Yeah.
To the Marshall Point 19.
Do you think that Seb will be able to cope with changeable conditions, as he doesn't know the track at the moment?
Big ask. Here's the answer.
The next F1 driver, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
There you are. He's going to be fine. That was a big question, wasn't it?
That was from the team to Anthony Davidson.
I know, asking for advice.
He's an ex-F1 driver.
Interesting that Anthony wouldn't say, well, I know he has no hope, I should stay out here.
He probably knew it was
doesn't want the pressure, does he?
Oh dear, yeah, he's got no chance. I'll pick somebody else. I'm available. We'll take ourselves a break, so we know what the personnel change is going to be in that car. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Anthony Davidson has just come across 3 GT cars. I think they were all GTMs. And in order to make the pass, he had to go onto the dirty line. It looked like the engine had blown. There was so much dust and gunk being kicked up. You see the marbles on the side of the road there. It was mirrored. That's the kind of thing he went through. It's a big risk. It just shows how committed he is in that drive to keep Tom Christensen potentially within range. And, of course, the belief that victory might just come their way. It's a long shot, Damien.
I think that was Nicholas, was it Lapierre we saw going off, but
either way, yeah, totally on it.
Yeah, he had to, because as we've seen a replay of something, just some stills.
Well, I was hoping we were going to see that the replay of that.
Yeah, it was such high speed, and he was coming up against a gaggle of cars. There was 3 of them all in a bunch, and he would have lost too much time had he not have taken to the apron there.
This is Anthony Davidson. We're on board right now. Jeremy, nothing short of commitment from all of those who dare not give up on belief.
Yeah, very, very true. And that's Richard Lietz there pushing on. There was reports that there might have been a little bit of dampness on the track out at Tertre Rouge, where he performed that quick spin, but no harm, no foul for Patrick Pilet. And he gets that car under control, brings it now. This will be a regular stop here for Pilet. And he will need one more stop before the end of the race.
Fuel only, and I don't know, just possibly a splash we were talking about, but I think he might well just make it clean on 2. Now, what's he done to his tyres? We didn't see the spin. It was just out of range of the cameras. There are very few blind spots on the circuit, but unfortunately that was in one of them. But he has come in. And staying out is Darren Turner, of course, in the 97 Aston. It's a great battle.
Certainly the plan was not to take on tyres here, but they have put some new Michelin tyres out there. I'm sure they'll be trying to have a good look at those tyres and decide whether or not he'd flat spotted them in that spin, which would necessitate a change, perhaps, David.
Guys, this is Pilet. It was Lietz that spun. Wasn't it?
It is Pilet actually that's in here, and it was Lietz that spun. So forgive us for that.
Sorry,
91 car. It is.
But just look at the lap times.
Here we are. This is Lietz we're picking up right now. Thanks, Damien. It's been a long old night.
Yeah, that's been a long race, I tell you. Sorry about that.
An hour and 45 to go. You can always blame me, Jeremy. There's
good idea.
I'm quite happy to take it.
His tyres are not too bad. Look at the times. He's just gone around 3 seconds faster than Darren Turner.
That is amazing.
Taking it down to 18.5 seconds.
Well, it looks like Darren Turner may well need a change of rubber sooner rather than later, because lap by lap he's finding 2 and 3 seconds. Lietz, he's on an absolute mission. He will have to come in fairly shortly, but that was indeed Pilet.
Stefan Saracen, it's been an incredible battle from start to finish between Audi and Toyota. Did you believe after the qualifying, where the pace wasn't quite matched, that you would be this tight at the end?
Yeah, after quali it was quite difficult because Audi was very fast, but it's okay. We are second, and it's still long, 2 hours, and everything can happen.
It seems that in the very variable conditions, we've had really difficult mixed surface conditions, that the Toyota seemed to be a little bit better in the handling than the Audi. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, when it's damp with the slicks, I think we are better.
So, good luck.
There you go. A good answer. Damp and slicks, the Toyota is better from their very own mouths. And in comes, I thought the tyres needed a look at. This will be a tyre change for Darren Turner. He's losing 2 and 3 seconds a lap. He needs a new contact point here, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a scheduled top. We'll see whether there's going to be a driver change as well. There probably will. The question is who will take this car to the finish. It's been a great day. A great run for this car, but a tragic day certainly for Aston Martin Racing. So, there's a lot of emotions going through all the crew members at this moment. They'll still have one more pit stop to do before the end of the race, but there certainly is a very crucial stop for car number 97.
Well, will it be Peter Dunbrack that takes over in a moment? Didn't quite catch who was going in.
No, I think that's Stefan Muka that's going in.
Peter, exactly.
And there's new tyres being readied there as well. But they're obviously looking to hold on to their track position. And as you say, losing too much time. So I think that's probably a good call.
Well, having worked with Peter Dunbrack, to be honest, I'd love to see him crack this one. But it is Muka who's gone in. It's on the jacks. Here come the tyre change right now. The Air Jack men are working their magic, and they've got to be absolutely slick here, and they are. Look at that, absolutely superb. Brake dust dispensed with, a nice slick change on every corner, and it's got to be right. Away they go. Well, that was nice. We'll see how this pans out now.
Good looking stop there for Aston Martin Racing. Yeah, Peter Dunbrack, he's been here 5 times before, yet to get a podium finish. His teammate Stefan Muka, he had a podium finish here last year, along with Darren Turner, who, in addition to that, has 5 more podium finishes, plus a couple of class wins here with Aston Martin back in 07 and 08. So Darren Turner certainly is the most experienced of the drivers aboard that car. But they are all very, very accomplished drivers.
So is Anthony Davidson, and likewise in charge of the #1 car, Lotterer, coming in now. Nothing taken for granted. No longer having to pit on a 30-degree angle, as they're so widely spaced out. Driver change as well. Lotterer out, and Trullier climbs aboard. Oh, it's a cue. Here we go. Anthony Davidson bringing in the Toyota hybrid, and a little bit of winglet damage, as you can see. I wonder how long it's been carried. We've seen those changed earlier on in this race, Damien, but it does take time. I don't think they've got time to spare.
No, I think they'll be throwing everything at it now. They'll be just wanting to spend the minimum amount of time in the pits. And there's something going on there. Is there something come loose or something? There's somebody faffing around in the footwell of in around Anthony Davidson. Yeah. He's put the steering wheel back on. He's staying in.
He is staying in. As it came off, we thought there may well be a change, but he's taking it back out.
Yeah, because we thought, didn't we think Buemi was going to jump aboard?
Well,
because he'd been in Formula 1.
We may have thundered. And in fact, they asked the question as to whether he could cope, and we had the answer, Jeremy.
Yes, indeed. Yep, they're both ex-Formula 1 drivers, of course, and not as much experience as Buemi, but they're both class acts there in that car number 8, as well as are all the factory drivers, of course. Here he is, though, through the Dunlop curves one more time. This will be on the 327th lap for Ant Davidson, or that car at least, the car number 8. They're pretty much a lap ahead of the number 7 car in 3rd place, and a lap behind Tom Christensen, who continues to lead in car number 2. I think I said a little while ago, by the way, that Sebastian Ordonez drove the Delta Wing last year. He didn't, of course. He drove the Delta Wing at Petit Le Mans, but not the big Le Mans. He drove for Grieve Motorsports here. So my thanks to... Who was it pointed that out to me? Somebody pointed out to me on Twitter. So whoever that was, thank you very much indeed. Roddy Digital, I guess it was.
The 7 car just coming through, and there's a rare old battle on the return, and in comes the 92 Porsche. Leeds pitting off the leads. This is going to be vital. It doesn't get much more important than this, and in fact they're all stacking up. It's that change game that we're going through right now. They're all going to have to ring it once more, of course, so this will be repeated, but every single one of them, these changes, has to be absolutely perfect. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a stop for the Toyota. Really, to be perfectly honest, the P1 cars are pretty much set at this stage. The GTE Pro cars most definitely are not. I would have preferred to see the GT pit stop there, but we don't get that opportunity. Stefan Muka is on his out lap. Richard Lietz is having the service completed on the number 92 Porsche. We'll just have to see where he comes out after that service is completed.
Yes.
That tyre change for Stefan Muka in the Aston Martin pit took 1 minute 23 seconds was the total length of that pit stop from pit in to pit out. When the Porsche made its pit stop on the previous time when they changed tyres, it was 1 minute 25.
He's got him. The Aston's in the lead, and there's the Porsche just exiting right now. We didn't get the best view of it, but at least we know the result, Jeremy.
Yep.
Fantastic.
That's good. That's fantastic news for Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still holding my breath and just I want to make sure that that was actually the right Aston Martin. Was it the art car that came by?
I wasn't looking at that, to be perfect.
Let's have a look. We'll hold station on that one before we declare it. But Lietz got a very, very slick stop there. We will be back in just a few moments' time. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're just tracking the 42 car at the moment that is battling for a podium here. Jan Mardenborough is on board. Just to clarify, the Porsche of Lietz leads Stefan Mucker and the Aston Martin, the art Aston Martin, by a margin of 4 seconds. It's extraordinarily close. It was another Aston Martin that just passed by. We're waiting for the art car, and indeed it was 4 seconds adrift. That's how we stand at the moment. So a great GT Pro battle raging, and I just can't wait to see if Jan Mardenborough gets himself a podium here, which I would love as well. So many stories to be told, and we haven't even just yet mentioned, back from the break, of course, P1. Top Christmas it is that leads the Toyota of Anthony Davidson. It's a tight battle, and it's a battle for a podium as well, with Ollie Jarvis and Nico Lapierre, although further down the order, Trullier, well, it was a great battle back, wasn't it, by the one car from P23 earlier on, let's not forget, because of their issues earlier in the race. I say earlier in the race, we still have 90 minutes to go, so just kind of a regular Formula 1 Grand Prix, I think.
To think that they were parked for 50 minutes.
Incredible.
Yeah, something like that.
They lost 10 laps during that pit stop. I think a bunch of it was during a caution, wasn't it? So they lost 10 laps, which is exactly the margin they are behind right now. So, you know, they've been charging along. But it's been very interesting that, you know, there's been very little to choose after the initial. First of all, there was that fabulous battle of the first couple of laps between the Audis and Toyotas. Then, at that first restart, Audis disappeared, basically, out in front. And the gap, though, has pretty much been maintained from there all the way through the subsequent 22 hours or so. And all of the Audis and Toyotas have been running pretty similar paces.
Yeah, we heard, Damien, that it was only the performance advantage for Toyota would come if it rains and everyone was on slicks. Would you like to explain?
Well, you mean
Toyota feel
about the start of the race?
No, Toyota interviewed just a few minutes ago said that they performed better when it rained if everyone was on slicks. That's where they have an advantage. They sort of feel that they wouldn't mind a light dusting of rain, essentially, because they can cope better than the Audis in those circumstances.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, I don't know why that is, to be honest, but, you know, for outright pace, you know, you got to compare the conditions in the dry, don't you? So you can't come to Le Mans and wish for a slippery surface and everybody else on slicks. So I think they're going to be, you know, whilst they're probably a little bit faster than they showed in qualifying and practice right up to the event itself, to the race itself yesterday, I think they're going to be disappointed with they've got to be disappointed, haven't they? Toyota. I mean, reliability-wise, fantastic, but I mean, you don't come here to, you know, spend a lot of money and
no, but
this commitment to finish second. You know, I mean, essentially what you've seen here is Audi have blown them away by a lap, and that lap they've just maintained that lap, and you get the impression that, you know, they're just happy now to have that one lap buffer. And now they're just going to sit there, that they've got more in reserve than Toyota has.
No question about that. But having said that, two things here. First of all, historically in motor racing, the first year you learn, the second year you challenge for a podium, the third year you come to win. That's the general rule of thumb, is it not, for new teams? And this is a brand new concept, let alone team. But the other interesting thing is, for me, I spoke to a couple of the Toyota engineers soon after the start of the race, and I said, look, you guys have been in tricky conditions, in sort of damp conditions or wet, dry conditions, of which we've had an awful lot this week. You guys seem to be closer on pace to the Audis than you do in dry weather conditions. Is that right? Do you agree with that? And they said no. which surprised me. They said no, they would much prefer it to be an all-dry race. They thought they had a better chance of that, which hasn't really panned out. So that did surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, I'm not knocking what they're doing.
No, of course not.
I mean, they're obviously doing an amazing job. Look at the reliability compared to last year.
Well, to be
overall
honest,
pace,
they've
got to improve.
Last year, they were kind of hurried into it. As we look at this stop for the 2-car here, they were hurried into it. It wasn't supposed to be their year. Peugeot pulled out late. They were begged almost to come along, and so really this would have been their first year, and it's so an outstanding performance really by Toyota. Away it goes, Tom Christensen back out. He is hoping, of course, to take victory, and I'm sure dedicate it to his friend Alan Simmons. Whoa, hello. Rear cowl disappeared off the back of the 67 Porsche.
Right rear portion of the bumper has just
it is
dislocated itself.
It's going to be very tight now for the number 2 car to get to the end of this race with just one more pit stop. Having said that, I think it's going to be the same situation for the second place car. I think the third place car is probably going to have to make 2 pit stops before the end of the race. And the 2 Toyotas, it's going to be very marginal whether they can get to the end of this race on just one more stop. So that's why Ulrich told Oliver Jarvis and the number 3 guys, you've got to go flat out, because they've probably got to spend a little bit more time on pit lane, possibly, than the Toyotas.
Still lapping a second quicker than the Aston Martin is the Porsche of Richard Lietz. He's doing a great job. He's underneath the minute mark, gapped to the P2 class, but lapping at 3:56 is, my goodness.
That was incredible.
Wow. You know what?
Is that
Don't count your chickens.
G-Drive car?
Yeah, that's the car that's battling for 3rd place in P2. That's John Martin aboard that car.
I think he was unsighted because there was a car between them.
That's exactly right.
In fairness to him,
here we go.
That was very close.
He saw the car on his inside, and he wouldn't have seen Ann Davidson in the Toyota coming up around the outside as well. So yeah, that was a very scary move, because you could see there the wow,
it's scary.
Yeah.
Even in
the onboard does that justice, doesn't it?
When you know what's happening. Oh goodness me.
Heads up though. I mean, you know, John pretty much did nothing wrong. He's just taking the racing line out of that corner.
Absolutely.
He's having and Davidson here, he's looking for the opportunity to get past. He doesn't want to lose any time at all, but you know, Ant in the past might have just gone for that in any case, and you know, that could have caused a wreck. So heads up to him, particularly this far into the race, to have that presence of mind to realise that, wait a minute, you know, maybe he's going to come across here, because that's the kind of the logical thing to do, and he planned for that. Well, not really planned for it, but he was prepared for that.
Yeah, well,
he was able to get out of it.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately, he gets more traffic here.
It's a Ferrari, and it's at Mulsanne. My God, memories.
Oh, and he's gone. He was too busy looking in his mirrors.
Well, no, I think he was too busy trying to carry as much speed into there as he possibly could to get out of the way. Oh no, he's buried it in the gravel.
He has. Well, there you are. He was no contact, but well,
Tony Vilander.
Pretty much the same. Away he goes. Let's have a look at that, shall we? This was the moment. A big wake-up call. A momentary lack of concentration, perhaps.
Not even close, was it?
No, not at all.
That was almost like there was something on the track, like oil or something.
I think he just didn't want to hold up Ann Davidson. I really do. And he just sort of got distracted for certain.
Exactly.
And left his braking too late. But that's a very strange mistake for somebody the experience that Tony Vilander has in this sort of a car. Big buddies with Kimi Raikkonen is Tony Vilander, fellow Finns, of course.
He'll be livid about that.
Yeah, he won't be very happy, because that number 71 car, they were unlucky at the very beginning of the race to be caught out, like so many other GTE cars,
with
by
the safety car. Yeah.
But they made various mistakes as well during the race. There was a pit stop penalty, at least one, if not even two, and another near miss in the pits. I think they were involved in another incident actually this morning in the pit lane. So yeah, it's been a dramatic race for that number 71 Ferrari, and they're still running in 4th place in the class, but I'm sure they're thinking woulda, coulda, shoulda. They're 3 laps behind though now.
Meanwhile, I need 6 more followers to get to my target of 1,000 followers this weekend. At Damien Faulkner, please.
Yes.
Tweet.
Or not. Yes, Christensen is our leader, our glorious leader, and it will be glorious for Audi as well. They have not had things all their own way. I think that's the crucial point about the challenge from Toyota. We're going to take ourselves a commercial break. Don't forget, you can indeed find us on Twitter at Jeremy Shaw Racer or Carlton Kirby, or indeed Liz Halliday. Somebody else as well has got a Twitter account. I'm not quite sure who it is.
And somebody hasn't.
Damien Faulkner. Faulkner with an E in the Damien. There you go. I've done it for you. That should crack it. Thank you, Carl.
There's various other Damien Faulkner show up here as well. There's half a dozen of them.
It's the one with the funky logo then.
Oh, my goodness.
Didn't think that anybody else existed in the world called Damien Faulkner. Thought one was bad enough.
There's a whole raft of you. Raft of the Medusa. Yes, it was a torturous journey. And so it has proved. Look up the picture. You'll see what I mean. We'll take that commercial break, and we will back with a little less levity and a little more focus. And I tell you something, this is going to be dramatic.
Welcome back to Le Mans. 1 hour and 21 minutes to go in this 24-hour race of 81st running of the Le Mans 24 Hours, the 90th anniversary of the first ever race here. Jeremy Shaw alongside Carlton Kirby and Damien Faulkner. Haven't missed a thing. Our Audi's Tom Christensen in car number 2 still leads by a lap over Ant Davidson in car number 8, who is just coming in, I think, for a scheduled pit stop.
Look at this for urgency.
The battle for GTE rages onward, guys.
Unbelievable. Looking at Leeds, it's, 1.6 seconds between the pair of them, and an absolutely monster lap. Well, the tyres have come to him. 3:55 posted by Muka. There he is in the art car with the twin lights dinky in the middle of the radiator. There he is. That's the car we're watching. And in fact, I think that, well, if you're into poetry, surely a poetic ending has to be that car taking victory. It's got the none too small matter of having to get past Leeds, though.
Yeah, he's just on his fastest lap of the race at 3:55.791. I don't know where that came from, but he was, I think, 6 seconds behind a couple of laps ago before the break. So that's come down big time. And you can actually see it. Is it Richard Leeds?
Yeah.
Has he got a vibration?
Yeah, it looked like it, didn't it?
Has he maybe locked a tyre?
I don't know. Let's see as he speeds up here what happens.
It was he that spun, wasn't it, earlier on, what, 40 minutes or so ago?
Yeah, but they've taken new tyres since. No, they haven't, have they?
No.
His tyres were okay back then.
Yeah.
It looks like from the onboard shot there, under braking anyway, but maybe it was just the undulations on the road.
There is the art car just being passed by one of the P2s. That's the vehicle we're concerned about. And at the moment, it's in the hands of Muka, and it's looking terrific. Well, we wanted a grandstand finish to at least one of the classes, and I just feel that this 90th edition of the Le Mans 24 Hours could well just prove to be an amazing finish to what has been an extraordinarily troubled 90th anniversary.
Yeah, it has. You know, I was in the pit, in the Porsche pit earlier on when Fred Makowiecki crashed the leading number 99 Aston Martin, and that was the moment that enabled Porsche to move into the lead of the race in GT. But it was quite emotional because I was watching the Porsche guys, and you know, not a flicker of recognition that they just taken the lead in the biggest race in the world. That was pretty classy, I thought, from those guys.
Unbelievable. Yes. Now let's have a look what's going on. Wets, intermediates. Let's have a look. Do you know the white band?
It looks like slicks.
Same old. Let's have a look. Oh, do you know what?
Yeah,
so quick.
There's a few spots of rain here as well, and the clouds are looking pretty pretty heavy.
Oh, and here it comes.
Right to our right, yeah.
Here it comes. It's starting to rain heavy now on pit road.
I think it's that end of the racetrack, you know, the Dunlop S's, the Forest S's, Tertre Rouge and the Mulsanne that the rain is going to hit if it comes. But we've seen this constantly, regularly throughout this 24 hours, guys, haven't we?
Time and time again, and here is your battle for position. This is the fight for the lead, and they scream past the pit entry, and they're looking very skittery as they cut that little final turn. The pair of them within sight of each other. It is Mucke in the Aston Martin there, the almost a trickle, a night and day art car. There it is, and he's having a look at Richard Lietz ahead of him, and there is the hare with the hound on his tail.
And of course, yeah, this is going to be much more difficult for Richard Lietz because he's got to feel the grip first, or the lack of grip first. And then Stefan Mucke will have a fantastic reference from him in front. So yeah, so this is going to be a good test of Richard Lietz here.
It is. So the number 2 car and the number 8 car pitted at pretty much the same time there. I think we saw that.
What are the tires?
I bet that's the number. Wow, that's buried.
Oh my goodness, and he's lucky, you know, that is buried, absolutely, and it's the 7 car. Audi's 1 and 3 at the moment. Lapierre exits, he's okay, the car very second hand. Let's get back to that GT battle out front, because believe me, Mucke is all over the back of his man. Let's have a look at it, Jerry. This is where it happened. Whoa!
Yeah, you can see it's slippery there, it's raining, it's really treacherous.
Goodness gracious me.
Is that the Forest S's?
I think that's coming into the Porsche
Curves.
I
think it is.
That's where it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to get back to this GT battle. We will get it as soon as we can. Slippery surface.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Damien. It's the entrance to the Porsche cars. Look at Lapierre. Just devastated there. That car is buried. That's not going to go anywhere after that. That car is out of the race, and that'll be our 12th retirement, I suppose. Maybe the.
Nico is off at turn 5. Nico is off at turn 5.
He is indeed.
Calm down, Seb.
Sebastian Buemi going crazy. Now we're just waiting for this battle to come within sight of our commentary position, because it seems we've been abandoned by our director of pictures here. Unfortunately, we take what we are supplied with, and the rain is well and truly here. Look at this. You know what, that last stop, maybe they should have gone for wets, or at least intermediates. An hour and 15 to go, I suppose, if they think they can ride this one out. But it's heavy, and it's causing all kinds of issues here. Some very good drivers getting it very wrong, and here's your battle for GT. That is Mucke harrying in the Aston Martin behind the Porsche of Lietz at the moment, and they look like they're in a dry part of the track. It's not going to be like that for long.
Oh, it isn't. It's just tremendous, this battle. It's been raging all the way through the race. Look at Mucke close as they go through Indianapolis, down into Arnage. Mucke going to look to the inside. No, that is covered by Richard Lietz. Fabulous stuff.
Right, this is going to be a drag race. Who's got the best grip right now? Well, the Aston is the one, but the rain's coming down, and this is where, oh, look at the spray getting kicked up. Unbelievable.
So they're coming up now to the point where
these yellow
flags are out. So they can hear. Yes, no overtaking, and take it easy, boys.
Take it very easy. Do respect those yellow flags, for goodness sake.
Yeah, nothing to be gained by trying to be brave here at all.
There we are, and they do respect them. They'll trundle through like on a Sunday afternoon. There they go.
I'll tell you what, they're on. What are they thinking now, Damien?
They're thinking of whether they should go into the pits and take on wets, I'd say.
Number 2 car is in.
They're getting very close.
The race leader is into the pit lane.
Well, here's your call. It's going to be the Porsche first. Maybe this will suit Mucke just to sit on the back of Lietz and see what his decision is going to be. Round they come into view of our next camera. Lietz it is that leads. This is the battle for the lead right now. Porsche versus Aston. It's Mucke versus
coming onto pit lane.
Now, who's coming in? Who's coming in? Is the Porsche going to make it? Oh,
my goodness, where's the picture?
No.
The Porsche stayed out.
And the Aston is in.
The Aston is in.
Wow, there's a gamble for you. Absolutely, it was a bit of shenanigans going on, and the Aston has come in. The Porsche of Leeds is out there. Well, he believes that he's going to carry on raining, and I'm looking over into the middle distance, and I've got to tell you, it is raining just about everywhere here. It may well be a good call. They're all going for wets. The race is on right now.
Yeah, I think this, that Audi, what Audi's in? Both? No, it's Christensen is in. He's
number
going on
8
to
car
wet.
is in, yeah. So Sebastian Buemi in also.
I think this is a good call by Aston Martin, I really do.
Well, it had better be, I'll tell you that much. It is grizzly out there, and extremely wet-looking. Mark Cole has just walked in. We'll ring him out, and he'll be with you in a moment.
There was a stream of about 15 cars ahead of those two GT cars. All of them came onto pit lane for wet weather tyres.
Well, it was a big roll of the dice by Leeds, wasn't it? He's gone out. He's got another lap on slicks. Now, they've got to hope that there isn't a safety car deployment at the wrong time for some of these guys. Oh, it's grisly. Those who went up on the funfair and paid their tickets wish they hadn't. It's a huge tempest that's blown through.
Oh, man.
Look at that.
That's treacherous. Aston Martin.
What have we got?
We've got 2 cars off there.
As we look deep in here.
2 or 3. No, it's a body
2, and it's bad. And you know what we're saying about safety cars?
Yeah, look, you can't even control the cars on the straights at all.
Goodness
if you're on
me.
slicks,
you've had it.
You're literally sunk.
Do you know what? Aston Martin made a great call here.
Safety car.
Yeah, safety car deployed. 2 cars in the barriers. What's the implication of this safety cars call, Jeremy Shaw?
Well, the implication is is the Aston Martin going to be held up court by the second safety car, not the first one? That's the implication of this safety car coming out right now.
Well, I don't know whether that was in the thoughts of Porsche. But it was likely we were going to have an accident at this point. And look how benign this looks until the strike. This is a drive-by here. Did anyone get tagged? No. Goodness me.
Yeah, the 11th caution of the day. Look at the damage there to the number 46 car. What a shame for them. They've had a strong run all day long. They were running in 3, 4, 5, 6th place before that incident, and a little bit bad at the wheel of that car, but there were several other guys off the road as well.
Do you know, I just don't
know.
One of the great things about this, I suppose, in a certain way, is that we still don't know.
What else is this race going to throw at us, though?
It's absolutely remarkable.
Oliver Jarvis came in there. This is a long stop by the number 3 car. The question is, where are the number 2 and the number 8? Were they held at the end of the pit lane? So we'll have to wait and see until we see a picture of that, whether they're able to get out before the pit exit was closed.
Well, I understand this is replay pictures, and the Aston did get clear. I have no view of the pit lane, I'm afraid to tell you, the exit from it. But I believe this is recorded pictures from a little while ago, and we'll wait for some of the onboards. This is Troulier's car, I think. Oh, look at that for a view. How's about that?
Wow.
And
complete 360.
And continue.
Passing the number 1 Audi with a 360.
You know
That's
what?
impressive.
That Mammoth car has been shedding bodywork for some time, and whether that is repaired, and these are recorded pictures. Forgive me. There you go. We're on replay. Brollies are out. And there is a very, very sad-looking Lapierre number 7 car. I'm surprised he managed to get it back.
Well, yeah, I'd have thought he'd have gone farther away from the car. He was walking away from the car, wasn't he?
3 meters, isn't it?
30 meters, I think it is.
Maybe he left his radio attached. Stretches, doesn't it?
Goodness me. Well, there you are. There is a zonal limit to how far you can go from the car.
So here's one safety car there. Safety car B.
Damien Faulkner is keeping safety car watch for us, and this is how they stack up right now.
Mark Cole reckons it's 5 meters that is all you can go away from the car. If you go more than 5 meters away from the car, you can't get back in it.
Exactly.
He was more than 5 meters away from that car.
How did he measure that?
Well, yeah, really.
If he goes 6 or 5.5.
To be honest, I thought it was 3, but anyway, there you go. It's 5.
I thought it was about 3. Yeah.
No, I think it might be as grey as the sky above.
It's to allow you to work on it and put a tyre behind you and all that kind of thing. But he clearly didn't do that.
He's got too much camber on the left front.
In any case, because he's a lot. Yeah, really. Yeah, there's a fair bit of damage there. That's not a 2-minute repair job.
No, he's not just coming in for wets.
And there's still more than an hour to go. There's the #1 car in.
Well, you know what? This race throws just about everything at you. It is an emotional roller coaster. You never know how this will pan out. Right now, Lietz is on slicks and he's on track. I've got to tell you that Stefan Mucker and the Aston is still listed as in the pits.
Yeah, because they would have been held there at pit
Exit.
out. Yeah, until the safety car has gone past.
But the safety car B just went past there 60 seconds ago.
Well, in that case, he'd have been let out now, presumably.
Well, maybe. Let's hope for
That's a crazy long time, because
that is a crazy long time. Well, and this is crazy long raining weather. That was lovely English, wasn't it?
That's the heaviest. That's the heaviest rain actually we've seen in the whole race, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, that was proper rain.
Although there was some rain about 4 o'clock in the morning, perhaps, which is a little bit of the race I missed.
Well, we're banging on about how fantastic they are.
Look at this traffic jam at the end of the pit lane.
It is.
Right.
That's truly held up there. And incidentally, the #1 car is not listed as being held in the pits, whereas Mucker is. So I still don't know until we get a long shot. Unfortunately, there is that refueling probe that goes deep into the Corvette.
My God, it does.
It does. Yeah.
For safety reasons, just get it.
It used to be horizontal down the sort of ground level, didn't it? A strange one.
They're trying to get the fuel as low as they can and away from any sort of any danger, basically. If the rear end of the car gets crushed, then they don't want the fuel tank to be compromised.
So here is safety car C with the WeatherTech number 70.
I think that's the only car behind that.
Yeah, and here comes some more.
A couple.
And this is which Porsche is this?
That's 91.
Here's the 92, so he's staying out.
Oh my God!
He stayed out.
Yeah.
On
No, that's the 91.
That's the 92.
That's 92
and the 91.
with the they're both together there. Yep.
Were they? Wow.
Yeah, the 92's ahead.
You're absolutely right. Unbelievable. Well, maybe they're hoping it's going to clear. There is a little bit of blue sky around the place, and just look what we're looking at now. The rain has abated.
Well,
we did say there was a pregnant-looking cloud, and if it popped on a certain part of the circuit, if I'm not mistaken, and that's exactly what happened.
There's certainly no point in bringing the Porsche in now. Under the safety car, you might as well say, I mean, if there's damage to the barriers, if there's whatever, if it goes full contortion all the way to the end of the race, you don't want to give up that track position now. You want to wait as long as you possibly can before you bring that car in. Generally speaking, when the pace car comes out, if you've got to do a full service, change drivers, tires, full tank of fuel and everything, then it might be worth coming in to make a stop under the safety car, because the whole stop will take about a minute and a half. You will lose about a minute and a half when they get back to green flag conditions by going from one safety car to the second safety car. There are 3 safety cars employed around the 8.5-mile track here at the Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans, and so when you come in to make a pit stop, you cannot go out of the pits and just join the tail of the cars that you were with before. You have to wait until the next safety car comes around. So it's a 1.5-minute pit stop, and that's when they go back to green. That is about the time differential between the 2 pace cars, safety cars, when they go back to green flag racing. It's very complicated, this. But if you just need fuel or just need a splash or a very quick stop, then you need to wait until the end, because by making that stop, it'll only cost you about a minute. So if you wait until they go back to green, then you make the pit stop when they go back to green, rather than make that pit stop under yellow. That way you will only lose a minute. If you'd made it under yellow, you'd effectively lost a minute and a half. Do you catch me on that one?
I do. And Jeremy will be sending a tweet with all that information in just a few moments.
There'll be a bunch of tweets, I must admit.
How many characters?
So forget that one. So I hope you're listening.
No, well, there's no point in the Porsche coming in, because to make a hasty decision in these changing conditions, they might as well wait.
My goodness, we've just had an enormous downpour here. Everything seems to be happening, accidents everywhere. Richard Lietz is okay at the moment, I understand, but things have all changed with the Aston Martin.
Well, yes, was a big surprise. I mean, with the rain suddenly, Richard did not pit. And we were all thinking what's going on, but at the same time happened a big accident. I guess the pit were closed, or for sure not open. A lot of cars were pitting, like also the Aston Martin. And at the end of the day, we still on slick tires on the rain, following a safety car. But the Aston lost, I think, 1 lap on waiting at the red light. So it's a little bit Yeah, crazy. You know, we went from we were sure for not so good decision to gain nearly a lap. So wait and see. So it's a big surprise for everybody.
Right, so is right now just hanging out and seeing what happens? Surely he'll come in for wet tires in this weather.
Yes, I think so. Possible also now we are a little bit more safe in terms of competition. So possibly it's our luck. I don't know. Wait and see.
Well, we look forward to that. Thank you very much.
And that was Romain Dumas there talking to Liz Halliday. He's talking about, yes, the Porsche will probably come in, but as I was explaining before, that they will not make that pit stop yet. And the weird thing is why the Aston lost a complete lap. It should have only lost one safety car length, which under yellow flag conditions is about 3.5 minutes, but when they get back to green flag racing is only going to be about 1.5 minutes. So, but why it lost a complete lap?
I don't understand because
I think they someone's made a mistake here, and it isn't really Aston Martin.
Because it was been 5 minutes since we've seen the Porsche.
If I had to say, I think the light man at the end of the pit lane has got it wrong.
Welcome back to Eurosport. Another change of shift. Mark Cole here with Martin Haven and Jeremy Shaw. This is how they'll be joining us as well as we get into the final hour. And look at this. We've had this huge downpour which has changed the shape of the race for several people.
Is 1 lap down from the leader. We're on the same lap as P2. And the gap is showing 4 minutes 17 seconds, but that's obviously for this safety car lap.
Same lap as P2. So race change, face of the race changed by that storm to a certain extent, but now sun's out again, Jeremy. How bizarre is this?
Yeah, and the number 92 car just came into the pit lane, so they have been given this 1 lap advantage somehow. Martin Haven perhaps could explain that to us momentarily. And we'll do that in a moment. But that being the case, it makes sense now for the Porsche to bring that car in. They're just going to go back 1 safety car, so they're still going to have a huge advantage over the Aston Martin. But how did the Aston Martin lose a complete lap?
Except 1 safety car might be the difference between them being on the same lap and not at that particular point.
Yeah, so it's still going to be 3/4 of a lap.
So the Aston Martin came in and they took its slicks off and they put wets on, but then they spent a minute or 2 examining the front end, looking around the front end, suspension, wishbone, something there. Then off came the wets, and he thought, right, back in the garage. No, on went slicks. It went out on slicks. Now, that Porsche, the 92, I think just put wets on and didn't see properly. The 91 definitely has wets on. So before, Porsche had a split strategy, 1 on slicks, 1 on wets. Aston had to decide which to cover. And this is a big escape we're seeing on the screen now for our leader as a car spins right across his bows. There's a full 360, select second gear and motors on. So many moments. I mean, the leader of the LMP2 class spinning on the same patch of water as another car and only coming to a halt by the barriers. The number 7 Toyota looked out of the race, and then suddenly Nico Lapierre is back in it and driving it back to the pits without its nose on.
Yeah, but he walked away from the car when he was out there, got out of the car.
Do you know what? Having gone off on a aquaplaning moment, I'd have walked away from the car as well. And I'm not entirely sure that anybody is going to genuinely be able to disqualify him for that. He climbed on top of the pit wall. I don't think the 10-metre rule includes vertical height.
Is it 10 or 5? 10 or 5? Can you just confirm for viewers?
Well, I don't know. You know, if you're in a gravel trap and you've aquaplaned off in a thunderstorm or a downpour, I'm walking over the tire wall.
Out of it.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I think 5 metres normally, but force majeure, of course. Now, and there's the Dempsey car.
That's Pro Speed Porsche. The Dempsey car is still running.
Yeah, we just saw Dempsey pits. Yeah. A quick mention before we get back to business. Roxy is listening. She's my 4-year-old granddaughter. So Roxy, hi from Grandpops at Le Mans, and enjoy the rest of the race. And I can't believe she texted me. How's that?
Excellent. Inside the final hour at Le Mans, and even less in the know of what might happen. Let's have a listen.
Tom, just to give you an update, there's 1 hour remaining. 1 hour remaining. Car 8 is in the same safety car as us, but they are 1 lap down behind you. 1 lap down. Same safety car.
Well,
Well, there's all sorts of possibilities for emotional stories. Slightly bedraggled Liz Halliday has just come back in from the pit lane. Not a pleasant flicking water around. Not a pleasant place to be. Remember, just as the storm really hit, the team got on the radio to Sebastian Buemi. Seb, take it easy, i.e. keep the car on the track. You can't win it if you're in the tyre wall, as Nico Lapierre proved. Joe Foster and Patrick Dempsey watch on. Their 77 car is still in contention in the AM class. 4th place. Trying to figure out where the pro class cars are. Which safety car queues the 2 Porsches and the Aston Martin are in. We might need the director's help for this.
I tell you what, I mean, virtually everybody is behind the safety car C, which is just coming into Mulsanne corner now. There's hardly any cars behind the other 2, in which case, pull them out of the way and let's get them all together.
Well, you know, that's not a bad way of dealing with it either, is it? Unfortunately, 92 has just broken free from safety car A, down the Mulsanne straight, rushing towards the chicane, and that is Richard Leitz out of the pits. Now, how is it that he's gone by on our little indicator of who's where? Gone by safety car A, or is the computer just playing games with us as it occasionally does? I think it may be playing games with us. I can't imagine somebody...
I think it's probably predicting me what...
Yeah, Richard Leitz's experience is not going to pass a safety car under any conditions.
It is a bit slow, the timing screen, and getting itself right.
Yeah.
It keeps showing us as a lap difference, and then suddenly you find, no, it's not, it's only 9 seconds.
Well, that's only when they come past the timing lines.
On the sectors, yeah.
So, the deal is... the Aston can't make it on fuel.
For what?
The Aston can't make it on fuel unless this safety car goes on for maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. The lead Porsche definitely can't make it on fuel unless this goes on for another 10 or 15 minutes. And the second place Porsche might be a bit of a question mark as well. So we might yet have another pit call to throw into this for fuel and or tyres. It's not going to get any simpler. Welcome back to the final hour of a tortuous 24 Hours of Le Mans 2013. And again, the weather has, Mark Cole, put just an enormous pressure on the teams and thrown a huge spanner in everybody's works.
Yeah, they've been working on strategy all afternoon, getting everything ready for this final hour, and then bang. The weather gods decide they're going to take over from the strategists, and this is what happens. Look at the mess. If you're just joining us, we've had a number of offs, most notably the number 7 Toyota, which has made its way back to the pits.
It has. It's been in 17, 18 minutes
but
now.
It's still there, and this is going to move Benoit Trouillet and Johnny Kane in the Straka HPD.
Not for a while.
No,
they're 5 laps behind. It will, if the Toyota doesn't lead, but they are working on it very hard indeed.
Yeah, and 5 laps at sort of 7 minutes a lap, which is what they're doing under the behind the safety car. Yeah. That's 35 minutes.
Gets us halfway to the checker.
Yeah,
plus more, 2/3 of the way to the checker. We've got 50 minutes remaining. Wow. I mean, you know, right from the beginning of this race, where we had what we expected was Audis running away from the Toyotas, rabbit versus hare. Toyota were all over the back of the Audi. We're fighting them to lead. We're taking the lead of the race against everything we expected. And right from the beginning, it seems, to the very end of this race, we are going to have more twists and turns. Past us now goes the 92 Porsche, our GTE Pro leader. Richard Leitz has changed onto wet tyres, so now all the front runners, pretty much the entire field, are on wet weather tyres, except the Aston Martin, which is on slicks and in a different safety car queue.
Yeah, I think it's 2 safety cars behind, unfortunately. So you know, 3 quarters. No, I think it's probably going through coming up to the Forest S's now, because it's shown as what's the time differential? 4 minutes odd, wasn't it?
Well, he's completed sector 1, which means he is on the Mulsanne, so he's behind. So they're half a lap apart, not half a second apart.
Right. There we are. That's the one coming down into The second chicane.
That's the safety car BQ, and there are A, B and C safety cars. Safety car B will pull off at Arnage, so that's where the Aston will be released, and our leader is in safety car A, which will pull off at the exit of the pit lane. So, yeah, that's going to be or the Ford chicane, the beginning of the pit lane. That's a long distance.
Yeah.
That's a couple miles.
Another train coming past us now.
You're looking at the number 12 Rebellion Coupe as Mark and Jeremy squint out the window to try and figure out where the third place GTE Pro car is as well, because that Porsche might come into play.
They're together. I think the second and third place cars are together, aren't they, in GTE Pro?
Could be.
And that was one safety car behind the leader in GTE Pro. They weren't there, so yeah, they are indeed, you know, 2/3 of a lap down.
Seeing a race leader there coming down into and out of shot. This is the 91 car. Let's listen.
Track is getting dry pretty quickly. We're waiting for the next shower in 10 minutes. Copy, but I just have to take care about the tire on the dry path just to be sure we can finish the stint. Copy.
We're waiting for the rain shower in 10 minutes.
Of course, Manthey Porsche
want to be a strategist now.
Manthey Porsche bringing Porsche as a factory back to Le Mans for the first time in 14 years. Did all their testing on these cars at the Nordschleife. And does it ever rain at the Nordschleife?
No, never. No. or anything. Never mind being a strategist, they've only got to worry about 2 cars. We've got to figure out who's wearing 4 classes. We've got 40 cars still running that are trying jiggery-pokery around and second guess. What about them?
Yeah, about an hour and a half ago, I was in the pit lane and I chatted to Olaf Mantei, and I said, yeah, would you? I chatted to him, and he said, yeah, would you mind coming on air with me? I was on Radio Le Mans at that stage, and he said, yeah, I'd love to, but no, if you don't mind, I'm too nervous. So I thought, hey, look, you've done a really, really good job, you guys. So I'll give you that one now, and I'll just pass on your thoughts. But yeah, he was biting his nails down there. That was then, and this is a lot more. There's a lot more at stake now, or it's even more precariously balanced.
Well, they are now 1-2 in that GTE Pro class, and in the AM class, Jean-Carl Vernet still in front of 2 Ferraris, and then the Dempsey Racing Porsche, which is in 4th position. So actually, Porsche looking really as though the cards may have fallen, but it's still 45 minutes, 46 minutes yet. We still can't say that.
There's these spots of rain because you saw the last few pictures. It seemed to be dry. Very little spray coming up from the cars here. It's relatively dry down here where we are at the Ford chicane, and as you say, it's still 46 minutes to go. We're not yet got the signal that we're going to go back to green, but hey, look at that, there you go.
This is the Porsche curve. Yeah, the one place you want it to be dry, yeah, exactly, and the last to dry because it's much newer tarmac. It's not public road, it's not big grains like a normal road is. Still working on the number 7 Toyota, which was 5, will now be 4 laps ahead of the number 1 Audi of last year and 2011's winners. Well, they look casual, they look relaxed. Tell you what, they're working like beavers below the surface, aren't they?
Focused and they're organised, aren't they?
No question. So running across the ticker, the top of your screen is the order at the moment, but without the gaps. The gaps are a lap first to second, 3.5 minutes second to third, a lap to fourth, Nika, 2 laps.
6 laps.
4 laps now from Jarvis to Lapierre, and Lapierre 5 laps ahead of Trelouet. Liz Halliday and her coffee join us. I think I may have to go and lie down in a dark room in a moment and interrupt Liz in the middle of her picky so she can have a quick word with us. Right, commercial break time. Let's all have a deep think and see if we can come up with an answer.
Welcome back to Le Mans. As you can see, garage doors being closed all around the circuit as we go into the last hour, and a lot of this is due to the huge cloudburst we had just about 15 minutes ago, which has certainly altered some of the shape of the race, particularly in GT Pro. It's cost Aston Martin big time. They now suddenly find, instead of fighting for the lead with Porsche, they're in third place behind two factory Porsches. Not where they wanted to be, Jeremy.
Emphatically not, and it was. I can't fathom what happened during that pit stop. Martin said there was just lots of.
It's fine, but second and third are bad. Makes sense from the direction the storm is coming.
Yeah, there's a rain report there from Sebastian Buemi saying that sector is bad. So that the prevailing weather is coming from kind of the Arnage area, isn't it? And it hit the Porsche curves first on on this large cloudburst just about a half an hour ago. Boy, time flies, doesn't it?
My goodness, Liz, you've been in the pit lane. It must have been pretty dramatic down there.
Well, holy shamoly. That's all I can say. It just all of a sudden went mental down in the pit lane. Everyone was freaking out and running around, and it's pouring with rain, and, you know, suddenly there's 3 or 4 cars crashing, and then Porsche's going, what's going on? We don't know, but the Aston's just messed up, and it's good, but we don't know what we're doing, and it's just crazy.
Now, from what Martin told us, he believes that the Aston came in, changed onto wets, but then changed back onto slicks, and then got held up at the red light in the pit lane exit.
Well, I don't know. I mean, certainly Romain Dumas thought they changed to wets and then got held up at the pit exit, and then they said, well, they were going to come in, because I was in the pit, and the whole team was going, okay, he's coming in, and then he didn't come in, and they went, he's coming in, but then he didn't come in, and Romain was going, I don't actually know what our car's doing at all. I'm just hanging out, going, what next? So it's all a bit crazy. Some pieces of the Toyota
eBay,
there.
but must collect.
That'll be expensive eBay material, I'll tell you what.
But let's go down the pit lane and hear from Alex Brundle, who's one of the drivers in the currently second place P2 car.
The weather is changing a lot, and it will maybe decide a lot of things at the end of this race.
Yeah, as for the whole week, really, the weather is ever changing. We just had a big dump of rain, so yeah, it's going to make the finish exciting for everyone. Not least Olivier, who's in our car at the moment. It's going to take a lot for us to catch the sister car now in front of us. We're about 2 minutes behind with 45 minutes of the race to go. But you know, anything's possible, and they just had a spin under the safety car actually. So you know, a little bit maybe of a little bit of an opportunity to push for the win.
The team overall did a very, very good race. How do you manage to be in a strong competition with your sister car?
Yeah, I mean, it's we had to split the garages halfway through the race because obviously, you know, both teams want to win, and both teams have a different opinion about who should be in front at the end of the race. So we have our own separate engineers and do our own separate thing for sure. Through practice and qualifying, we share data, but when we go racing, we race each other. There's no team orders here.
Thank you.
So young Alex Brundle from Kings Lynn, and of course first Le Mans last year, finished 15th overall, 8th in LMP2, driving in the Zytek Greaves. Now made the switch to Jacques Nicolet's Morgan Nissan team, but a great future ahead of this young man, as a number of young drivers we've seen in this race, and the standout surely has been Jan Mardenborough, Liz.
And he's currently on board right now, running in 4th place in the LMP2 category and 10th overall. Really a fantastic race from him, and I was watching his times from pit lane as well, and wow, is all I can say. I'm overly impressed, and I'm definitely, he's my driver for this race. If we were going to pick the Eurosport driver of the race, he's my pick, I'm afraid.
my pick is the Aston Martin group, to be perfectly honest. All of the Aston Martin drivers would be my pick. But I mean, you know, there's a bunch of deserving candidates here. There's the number 8 car, number 7 car, I should say. They're putting
wheels back on.
Yeah, bolting a new nose on the car, putting the wheels on as well. So looks like that car will be able to get back out again. It's currently shown us 4 laps behind. That'll soon change to 3 laps only ahead, I should say, of Benoit Trullier in the number 1 car.
So on board the 73 Chevrolet Corvette, this is Jordan Taylor. His father, Wayne Taylor, made 13 starts here, and he, as well as winning the Daytona 24 Hours outright. And Liz.
Number 7 car back in pit lane. What a speedy fix that was. I was down there in pit lane just before I came up. I thought I'd have a little look at the car, and the whole front of the car was off, basically. When there was a mass of people, there was hoovering out gravel by some guy, and everybody else was just thrown on top of this car. That's an incredible fix in such a short space of time for all that damage.
But as quick as that was, they're going to get held at the end of the pit lane, of course, until the next safety car train's gone by. And this must be so frustrating to a driver.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible. And it's difficult here at Le Mans with the 3 safety cars.
He stalled it.
Oh,
He got the green, but he didn't go. Now he's got it, right. Oh.
That was close. Yeah, he'll easily catch the train, obviously, as they are under safety car, but a lot of pressure on these teams. Everybody is so stressed. I was down in the Audi garage, and I spoke to Brad Kettler, who's helping engineer the number 2 car, and he said, I'm just so stressed. I'm just so tense. I can't even sit still. They're very, very nervous down there, understandably so.
So Nick Lapierre getting back up to speed as quickly as he can. Still got cycles of pit stops to get through, haven't we, even in the last 40 minutes.
Well, talk about bringing up to speed. Just for anybody who's tuned in for the last hour of Le Mans, we are under safety car because of rain. Not a bit of rain, a very large amount of rain dumped very quickly on the Circuit de la Sarthe. Left cars flying off the track everywhere, and the race director, Eduardo Freitas, with no option but to scramble the safety car for the 12th time?
No,
11th time.
10th time. ACO telling us 10th. We thought it was 11th, but I think what happened, the safety car was about to come in when someone else crashed, and we counted that as 2 safety cars. But whatever, as Martin told us earlier, they've now broken the record, which was 4 minutes 53. They're now well over 4 hours 53
minutes.
They're now well over 5 hours, and how crazy is that? So it's at the moment we're talking about the 19 hours of Le Mans.
Yeah. Safety car remains out at Le Mans. We see no barrier repairs. We see no damaged cars in dangerous places. All cars have changed onto wet weather tyres. Stroke had the opportunity to change onto wet weather tyres. Cars are in line behind the safety car. Have been for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe more. Safety cars remain out. And I have to say I'm completely at a loss as to why. Liz Halliday from the driver's seat. Any clues? I mean, there are a couple of wet patches, but it
looked like what we just passed. Could that have been some barrier damage? Maybe not. It doesn't make sense to me at the moment. I know we did have quite a few accidents all at once. The Toyota went off.
Safety cars will withdraw at the end of this lap.
Oh, there's our answer from race director Eduardo Freitas.
Will withdraw at the end of this lap.
Yeah, safety cars withdrawing at the end of this lap. So that answers the questions that everybody's asking on Twitter and that we ourselves were asking. That safety car is now going. I'm guessing they just took their time to make sure all the debris was gone, as there were about 3 different accidents all at once on the circuit. But we will go live racing here with a mixture of cars on wet tires, cars on slick tires, and a mostly wet circuit. So, oh God, I hope they can keep it clean. We're so close to the end.
We're going to have a very quick interview from the pit lane. Let's hope it is very quick. We've got a lot of racing to get in 34 minutes and 57 seconds.
Hugues, quelle émotion dans le stand.
Interviewing Hugues de Schoenack from Toyota. What's it like in the team? Yeah, the storm has really raised our rates. Nico got caught out completely. He had a big crash. A car almost completely destroyed. To see him bring it back was just astonishing. Still shocked, like everybody else here. And then we were fighting against the clock, obviously, to try and get the car fixed. Our goal was to get both cars to the finish when we started yesterday, and now we're hoping to try and get that done. So when Nico Nico got out of the car. You managed to get him motivated to keep the car running. Well, Nico was so shocked.
Bon, il a fallu un petit peu de temps, on a parlé, et puis pour moi c'était important qu'il remonte dans la voiture et qu'il franchisse lui-même la ligne d'arrivée.
En tout cas, le podium se profile pour l'autre voiture. C'est une belle histoire.
Sorry, trying to listen to the Toyota radio as well. He said Nico was very shocked by the crash, and it took a while for him to just gather his thoughts and bring the car back. But it's been a great story for the team. We said we'd try and get both cars to the end, and even though we're looking like we might take a silver medal, for us that would still be a fantastic result. There's still 30 minutes still to go.
So the RS4 safety car still leading the field round. The lights haven't yet gone out, having told us quite categorically they were coming in this lap.
Oh, I don't know really what's happened here.
They often dive right across the grass at the last moment, but you're right. Well, it depends where the safety car started from. This is safety car C, which goes back at the gap between the first and second chicanes on the Mulsanne straight. They go back to where they started from, so these guys have got half a lap to get up to speed. Of course, their teams now on the pit wall as the safety car goes by, they have to spot its safety car C and then radio to their guys the information I've just given you, that they will be released between the two chicanes.
And certainly the teams would be telling their drivers when it's green, they'll be shouting green, green, green as soon as it is, so that they know, because it is very difficult when these safety cars go in all these different locations. You're mixed in with a bunch of different cars. Mixed conditions right now. Oh God, I mean the restart could be an absolute disaster. I really hope it won't be.
Lights are off.
It's coming in.
Not yet. He's got to pull in, and the 97 Aston Martin, another roll of the dice there on pit road. Darren Turner is it Darren Turner? Stefan Mucker has decided he does not like the slicks anymore. He's getting wet. Are they going to fill him to the end? Does he need more fuel? I expect he probably has taken some. Well, it won't give him any more than he needs, though, Liz.
No, definitely not. And I suspect the gamble there is that he feels it's wet enough that he can make up more time than the Porsche can on its tyres. Has it pitted for wets? It hasn't, has it?
Both Porsches have pitted for wets.
They have now. Okay, right. So he basically would then lose a load of time if he wasn't on the wets.
But he will... Yeah, but Willie, look at this. Where's the spray from the safety car? It's doing 130 kilometres an hour. That's barely 70 miles an hour.
Very, very wet where it was wet, though, and I think...
And don't forget, we've been warned, more rain is coming.
Yeah.
That is very dry. It is quite warm still.
It's a big gamble.
It's all a big gamble. The whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle is a 30-minute lottery for every position in every class.
And then it comes down to what sort of wets are they on? Are they very soft? If they're very soft wets, they could completely destroy them on half of a lap on the dry. However, if the compound's a little bit harder, they would just last that bit longer and then cool off on the wet portions, Mark.
Yep, and look how you can see it's totally dry here now. In fact, we heard Sebastian Buemi on the radio a few minutes ago saying he was surprised how quickly it was drying out, but that's only on certain parts of the circuit. You've got other parts like this that are still absolutely drenched.
Huge amounts of spray here. If you just tuned in and looked at that, you'd think the whole circuit was wet, wouldn't you? And that is what makes Le Mans so unique. It's a very, very big circuit. We're away. Green flag. Let's see what happens.
Exactly 30 minutes to go, Martin.
Right, here we go. We talked about the Daytona 500, 400 miles to get into position, 100 miles to party on and try and win the race. We've spent 23 and a half hours jockeying for position, and now we have a 30-minute sprint to the finish. Whatever else happens, and weather may play a part, the field is so jumbled up, it's going to take us at least a lap to figure out who is where. Safety cars are off. Track is wet, dry and soaking in different parts. Liz Halliday, I'm glad I'm sitting in the dry watching, because I don't like the look of this one iota as a driver.
No, this is really difficult, and like I've said earlier, it's easier to have all wet or all dry, but the mixture is just a disaster. It's greasy, it's tricky, you're having this gamble with tyres like we've seen, but I think the wets was a smart decision. There's a half an hour left. Binning the car into the wall is not how you finish well at Le Mans. And especially in a prototype car, it's a really big risk to be on slicks in proper wet conditions. I mean, you already seen the number 7 car have an accident, definitely down to the wet weather on slick tyres.
Yeah, and you can still look out the wet patches, Liz. They're going to stay there under the trees, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
And you can look those out, even if it's a dry line.
Absolutely. It's not damp, it's wet. So
the problem is, if you're behind one other car, it's not where the dry bits have got some wet in, it's where there's any grip in the really wet stuff, because if you're following anyone, you can't even see the side of the road, never mind the corner.
And can you imagine that on slick tyres? You're trying to overtake someone in the spray. We've just seen you couldn't even see anything but headlights.
Ollie Gavin.
Brake in the wrong place, and you're off the circuit, and that's your Le Mans over a half an hour from the end. I agree with the decision for wets, personally.
Okay, here are our battles. Prototype 1, Tom Christensen leads from Sebastian Buemi, Ollie Jarvis, Audi, Toyota, Audi, done it again. LMP2, Bertrand Baguette, despite spinning off, is leading his class ahead of teammate Olivier Pla and John Martin. No change there. Jan Mardenborough still 4th. The change came in the GTE Pro class. Richard Lietz and Patrick Pilet 1-2 for Porsche. Stefan Mucker in 3rd place for Aston Martin, having just come out of the pits again. And in the AM class, Jean-Carl Vernet still leads for Porsche ahead of Lorenzo Cazzi, Marco Ciocci and Pat Long. Ferrari, Porsche. No change in positions there, but the gaps between them, again, we're going to need another lap to find out.
Now in bright sunshine around this part of the circuit, going through Porsche curves and everything to play for. McNish looking at his watch then, obviously not going to do the final session, although he has got his overalls on. There's no point, is there? Unless they've got to have a splash and dash, but has that been negated by the safety car?
If he's expecting to go on the podium, he's not going to do it in jeans and a jumper, is he?
Well, no. I mean, they must obviously be hopeful to be on the podium. I would have thought they would leave Tom in there.
For the rest of the race.
Thank you. Answered the question for us. So Nishi heading for his 3rd win, Tom Christensen for his 9th.
Audi confirming they still believe more rain is on the way, so the sticking back onto wet of the Aston Martin may well be the thing that gets them to the end.
Yeah,
and
there's some really
again darkening, Liz, out of our window. Yeah.
Black clouds, and the wind is still very, very strong out on pit lane, and I think that's why we've had such immensely changeable weather this afternoon, is that the wind is just blowing in storms much quicker than any of the weather forecasts could have predicted.
Ollie Gavin carving his way through back markers. The car he will have ahead of him will be Tony Villander. That's the next one, the Ferrari, which is running currently 5th in the Pro class, and then it'll be his teammate Jordan Taylor ahead of him. So Ollie really pushing now. He's enjoying this, isn't he? He loves these conditions.
He does. Well, some of them. I bet he loves these conditions. Mind you, these are worse because, you know, on a wet weather tyre, as soon as he hits the brakes, it's going to feel like he's hit slime and the tyre will be squirming all over the road. Actually, for the tyre, better in the wet. For the driver, better visibility in the dry. You know, but damned if you do, damned if you don't, Liz.
Oh, no, these are, like I've said many times, these are the worst conditions, because what can you do? You're either going to be great on the dry and sliding around like crazy in the wet, or you're going to risk degrading the tyre on the dry but be safer in the wet, and clearly that's a wet track. I mean, look at that. You don't want to be on anything but wets in there.
First and second running together, they're a lap apart, but Sebastian Buemi is just going to enjoy this final half hour. He's right on the coattails of Tom Christensen.
Well, we heard Hugo Schoenack saying a silver medal will be a great result for us. We wanted, the target was to get both cars to the finish.
In front of you, Audi number 2 is in front of you, the leader.
Because, of course, Liz, you won't necessarily know, will you, who is driving the car ahead of you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Now, listen, Liz, here's a question for you. Play devil's advocate. 15 minutes from the end, we're expecting another downpour. What is the mileage of being stuck behind the Audi then? You've got to get in front of him now and hope to take some advantage. If you're Buemi in second, you have got to try and pass him now before it goes to hell in a handcart for the 477th time in this race.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's going to have to. And also, I think they've told him to say, feel free to give him a bit of hassle, because he's currently leading the race, and if something went a bit wrong, guess who would win? It would be Toyota. So I think that was part of the tactical plan of saying, it is the leader you're following, and please drive really hard and ride up his backside, because you never know.
Yeah.
Tom Christensen, the great Tom Christensen, can make mistakes. Very rare as it happens, it could. Well, that's what Toyota's hoping anyway.
Feel free to push as hard as you can.
Yeah, well, they're pretty secure on wets, aren't they, at the moment? It's unless you get absolute monsoon conditions, both these guys plenty of grip at the moment. Ollie Jarvis in third place. He is 2 minutes back. Well done. Good move.
On
the lead lap.
He had to unlap himself. Now, suddenly, again, Han Davison and the rest of the team applaud. They are
good time for an interview, Liz.
In the ballpark.
But look at this, beautiful sunshine now. It's a perfect June summer's day here, but not on the other side of the circuit.
No, it's crazy, and it is cold today. It really is cold. It might look warm and lovely here in Le Mans, but it is a very cold day for this time of year.
Listen, that battle we saw with Ollie Gavin is for 4th place. Jordan Taylor, his teammate, is 4th. Tony Vilander 5th. Ollie Gavin 6th. They're covered by 8 seconds. And the battle for the lead, another twist. How many more as the Toyota does unlap itself? And the Audi lets him go because he's still a lap in front. And if there's a deluge in a safety car, it's unlikely they'll get a lap.
As the very nervous looking at
completed. Yeah.
Quite a long time alongside, wasn't he? And that's what Ant Davis had his head in his hands for.
Yep. And rain still forecast for the final 15 minutes. Please don't drag this out much more.
And we've got a mega black cloud right in front of our studio here. It's coming towards us.
That's a really evil looking one too, isn't it, Mark?
And this is one of the remaining dry parts of the circuit.
Yeah.
Not for long though.
I wouldn't want to be on that Ferris wheel right now either. It's coming straight for that.
Especially if there's lightning in there.
Oh dear.
And of course, what comes to us will sweep right across and vanish out the far side of the track, which is where the cars are now, which is starting to dry up a little, but will get wetter again if that rain does eventually. I mean, look at it, in 10 minutes, it's got bone dry here. But again, like we saw in practice and early in the race, white lines outside the racing line areas, they're going to be absolutely lethal.
Well, I think a lot of the teams have had to go with what their direct competitor is going to be on, because either way, they're going to be probably at a disadvantage one way or the other. Whereas if you're both on the same tyre, then there's some equal racing, and I think that's what everybody's ultimately decided to do.
Yeah.
And certainly, I think slicks would be the slowest. Well, I know it would be the slowest option right now, and it's risky, so it would be crazy. Despite the dry bits, the fastest parts of the entire circuit are currently wet, so it would be crazy.
And Mark, we touched upon why it would be suicide, because you have to finish the final lap inside 6 minutes, and you must take the checkered flag. You'd be 20 laps ahead now. If you crash, you don't count.
This is quite different to American racing, of course, where it's just counted back. We were just watching Bertrand Baguette just before this shot. You'll notice that they are leading in P2 still in the Morgan Nissan, the Oak Racing car, and Bertrand together with Ricardo Gonzalez and Britain's Martin Plowman looking for it. This is what we're seeing from our studio.
And that cloud looks very grim and ominous, I have to say. And I'll tell you what, when that hits the circuit, it's going to be torrential.
Your face is okay, your face is okay. There might be another shower at Arnage in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, a shower at Arnage. Take care.
There you go.
And look, cars still sliding around, Liz, and going off track as well. It's not you. You could be taken out by somebody else's accident.
Exactly, and I think these guys have all just got to be on the lookout and ultra careful. The last thing you ever want to do is bin it on the last half an hour of the race. And then it's saying that showers coming through Arnage corner. Well, Arnage in the dry is notoriously the most slippery surface corner on the whole circuit. So isn't that going to be lovely? It's just asking for someone to lock up the slide off the end.
And if it's going to get wet at Arnage, 200 metres back up the road is the braking zone for Indianapolis, or 500 metres.
Yeah.
It's going to get wet there too.
Lovely.
Slowest and fastest parts of the corner.
We've got a sign of debris on track. I wonder if somebody has hit something
Dunlop
or someone.
At the top of the hill, so coming up to what might be a yellow flag zone. Look at the bright sun and then the shadows scudding overhead. Stunning views of Le Mans in bright sunshine, and still nobody daring to breathe. And with 20 minutes to go, and certainly another roll of the dice perhaps, just to say thank you to all the marshals, all the workers, all the security staff, the people on the campsites, and everybody who make this such an enormous event run smoothly, because they've been out in all of this for a week.
Your tires, protect your tires. The rain might be coming again.
How's he going to check his tyres?
Well, no, he said protect your tyres.
Protect them. Oh,
which means that he's going to be looking for wet. Now, if everyone watches the onboard, you'll see he will start searching for the wet portions of the circuit to protect and keep those wet tyres cool so that he doesn't degrade them. Because if we get the big shower again and he's scrubbed the tyres too much, he'll have no traction at all. It's basically like being on a flat spotted slick, essentially. The same, well, not with the vibration, but it'd be the same feeling, and he'd have no grip at all, and then that's their chances done. So he's going to be moving around the circuit looking for the wet line now.
And try not to muller them too much under braking and under acceleration as well, because that'll just rip the tread blocks off. I tell you what, I guarantee if you put a camera on the Audi garage now, Wolfgang Ullrich is pacing up as many kilometres as these guys are racing up. He will be going backwards and forwards like a duck in a shooting gallery.
Well, like I say, when I was speaking to Brad Kettler, I don't think I've ever seen Brad look so nervous.
Lord.
He's just practically shaking. He's so nervous. So I think it's tense for everyone. And look at Anthony Davidson there. Looks like he's praying to anyone that's listening, really.
Yeah, the other, looking just further down, Pro-Am, we haven't really mentioned much in the last half hour, but the 76 car, that's the IMSA Matmut team with Jean-Carl Vernet on board at the moment, has a one-lap lead still in that class, and they've had that really, I think, probably since the middle of the night, haven't they? Certainly when we came in just before dawn, they were leading.
Sterling effort from them, and Porsche really has turned out to be almost dominating the GT classes, and I really wouldn't have called that with so many Aston Martin entries. They were so strong, and a part of me really wanted Aston to win after the tragedy and the hardship we've had today. I mean, I'm very happy for the Porsches to be going so well, but part of me wanted that to happen.
And with Ferrari's history here.
We are 18 minutes from the end of the race. We don't take any risk, but we monitor, don't worry.
They are getting really wound up, aren't they, Toyota? They've got the second place secure.
Rain.
Yeah.
He's coming into it already. Deep grooved wet weather tyres going on to the SRT. Presumably because the previous ones were starting to feel a bit worn out. Yes, or he's not going on to a slick. He is going on to a slick, Liz Halliday.
Are you sure it's not an Inter?
I don't care. It's not enough cruise for what's coming.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I would have thought it would be an intermediate tyre probably, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it could be. Bit of a modesty panel being spat up in the air there. Out goes the SRT into this. All right, it is a slightly tinted windscreen, but hello, it's pitch black. This is your race leader. This is what he's seeing. Rain clearly coming down from the crowds in front. If that's more than 15 minutes away, we will have dodged a bullet and we're going to get soaked at the podium instead. No, too late. It's already pouring. This is the run from Mulsanne down to Indianapolis. Well, it's already wetter than it was a lap ago, and it's starting to rain there.
Yeah, I personally would want to be on wet tyres right now. I don't know about these other drivers, but I'd be feeling pretty happy that that was the decision the team had made at this point.
Damien Faulkner tells us it's raining heavily at the station in the centre of Le Mans. It will be coming this way.
Oh, I didn't even get to say goodbye. He's gone already.
He has gone.
Speedy.
Yep. Didn't notice.
He's got train to make. Rain on track, corners 76, which is Mulsanne corner, to 96, which is Indianapolis.
And there's our LMP AM leader, sorry, GTE AM leader. Yeah. There it is, the 76 car. That Jean-Carl Vernet on board at the moment, a Le Mans rookie, unlike his team owner, Raymond Narak, who has won this race in GT2 before. That was back in 96.
Spits and spots on our commentary box window at the Ford chicane. Not heavy, but spotting with rain. And Vernet's got a good lead. I mean, they are getting on for a lap in front of Lorenzo Caso and Marco Ciocci in the two Ferraris, and those guys are 2 minutes apart. So of all the classes, actually, Vernet is the only one that's sort of feeling a little comfortable. But look at the wind blowing up the Mulsanne. Goodness, if rain doesn't follow that within the next couple of minutes, then My name's Henk van Gemmering, the Dutchman.
Hey?
Yeah. It's an old gag.
I think we better change this to the Mistral, not the Mulsanne. Yes,
Yeah.
really. That's just this great blast of wind before the storm, isn't it, Liz? It's you feel it coming. Pat Dempsey looked just so glad. I think he's not having to sit in the car.
I was just thinking that. I think he's thinking to himself, gee, I'm glad I'm not in there.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Pulled the play fake and handed it over to Pat Long to take on the whole offense. Our GTE AM class leader, Jean-Carl Vernet, and a very pensive Audi garage. The number 1 Audi currently lies in 5th place.
This rain will develop around most of the circuit and will be there until the end of the race. It will be there until the end of the race.
Oh, nice for the podium ceremony.
Yeah, and I'm thinking perhaps that Viper team right now is wishing they hadn't gone away from the wet tyre, unless they had a problem with the tyre. It's possible, I don't know, but I don't know if I'd want to be on intermediates if there's going to be rain across the whole circuit.
Why is Corvette coming in?
I know. Ollie Gavs, 74 car. What roll of the dice is this? What more perverse twists and turns can there be? 12 minutes
fuel,
and 57 to go.
Fuel.
Yeah,
I think you're probably right, Mark.
No tires out there.
Yeah.
Just as we go to a seminal pit stop, we look at close-ups of heads.
Final 13 minutes of the 2013 Le Mans race are already underway, and we believe the weather may have more to play. I think everybody will be ultra cautious, starting to look now as though the frantic last hour that was lining up for us may turn out to be a little less frantic than we had hoped for.
Yeah, I think the director is thinking, here's one we made earlier. I better show it for the end of the race.
Yeah.
Frantically throw it in there.
Otherwise, the EVS guys are going to get really ticked and won't give you a play out at the end. So Tom Christensen leads from Sebastian Buemi. They're on the same lap, but Buemi the better part of a lap behind. Here is your GTE Pro class leader, and again, courtesy of pit stops and strategy, he is in front of his teammate Patrick Pilet in the 91 at Manthey Racing Porsche, and Stefan Mucker's Aston Martin in 3rd position in the class, ahead of the 2 Corvettes with Tony Wielander's Ferrari in between them. Best place Ferrari is 5th. Rain here? Yes, looks like it. In the GTE AM class, Jean-Carl Vernet comfortably ahead of Renzo Kaze, Marco Ciocci, Pat Long, Julian Canal and Jamie Campbell-Walter.
What's looking interesting to me is that although we've had a lot of accidents, a huge number of safety cars, really variable weather, probably some of the least amount of retirements that I can ever remember at Le Mans. Isn't that interesting?
And with all the insanity, we've been subjected to, you're right.
Gavin's car's still in the pit lane. What's the problem? You remember about 5 years ago, Corvette did a park and wash and then decided to go out later after they cleaned the cars because they were so far ahead of everything. Everyone booed them for that, although they did win. But why is this one parked up now?
Well,
he's obviously got a problem that he thinks he won't get to the end, so save it for the last lap.
I think
you know what
right.
it is? His problem.
Back the pace off a little bit. We can do it in 3 laps.
Well, Gav's problem can't be tyres because they could have fixed that. It can't be fuel because they can fix that. They can top him up instead of park him. So it must be something that's not fixable but limp roundable on the final lappable. So that sounds like transmission or engine fairly major malady. Now we're going to hear now from Aston Martin racing boss Dave Richards.
I suppose really it's been a terrible weekend for us all. You know, it started off with a bad accident and we all know the situation there. And of course, you know, the whole team pushed then because they wanted to get the win for Alain as a tribute to him. But a series of small incidents like in motor racing, small accidents, small mistakes, and we don't quite achieve it this weekend. Not our best weekend, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much, David.
Well, very little, I'm afraid, that anyone can say, really, about the tragedy that befell us in the first few minutes of this race. The very sad loss of Alan Simonson when his Aston Martin got away from him, crashed at high speed at Tertre Rouge. And it's really cast a pall over the whole race, and There'll be very little jubilation, I think, at the end of what has been one of the craziest races of any type I can remember. Mark Cole inside the final 10 minutes, and still nobody can afford to even think of relaxing.
Yeah, and final 10 minutes, and we still don't know for sure who's going to win each class. We know that the lead Audi is pretty safe now. Even if he gets a puncher, he's probably going to crawl around in the last 10 minutes. But P2 is still up open, and so is GT Pro. The only man who looks really safe is the Raymond Nourack, Jean Carvenet, Christophe Bourret car. That's the IMSA Matmut Porsche leading LM GTE AM.
Well, really, I don't think anybody's technically safe, because, as you've said before, Mark, that at Le Mans you must cross the checkered flag within a certain set amount of time of the overall winner finishing. It is not the winner in your class. It is, the time is based on the overall winner. And so really that means nobody's safe, because if somebody blows an engine on the last lap, that's it, game over.
So the rain's not quite as heavy as we thought it was going to be. We thought we were going to be in for another deluge like the one we had about an hour ago, but it's just not happening at the moment.
No, it isn't, which is surprising, and probably comes down to the heavy wind that we've had. It's maybe just pushed the storm through quicker than anybody thought. However, I think there's enough water on the circuit just to keep the wet tires under control, as long as everybody's a little bit careful. I think we're going to have an onboard radio here. Oh no, that's not happened in the end. Just can see the wet here on the circuit. Again, really mixed throughout the track.
Well, with an hour to go, we were shaping up some absolutely titanic battles in almost every class. Only the GTE AM class really looked as though it might end up being settled. But weather and safety cars have conspired against us yet again and have taken the sting out. The number 2 Audi, driven by Tom Kristensen in these final laps, and with his teammates Alan McNish and Loic Duval looking now set fair to take victory for Audi. And in some way, although maybe Aston Martin are not going to get the victory that they wanted for Alan Simonsen, there'll be an awful lot of people who will be very, very emotional to see a Danish driver, the Danish sports car driver, if he makes it onto the top step of the podium.
And I think that we're very confident here and in the Audi camp that Tom Kristensen will be trying very hard to win this race for his friend Alan Simonsen. They were very close friends. I'm sure this has been a very difficult race for him, as it has been for every driver that's here, and really for all of us here. It's not a race we will remember fondly, I'm afraid.
No. It will set all sorts of records. Longest period ever under safety car conditions, most number of safety cars in a race, and actually fewest retirements, I think, so far as well, unless anything dramatic changes in the last few minutes. So bizarre, you know, with the bizarre weather and twists and turns and all the accidents, still these cars now have such an astonishing standard and quality. They keep coming back for more. Final moments for Bertrand Baguette.
Oh, and it started
again,
isn't
splash
it?
of fuel, yes.
Isn't that wonderful? What a feeling that must be, Liz.
Oh gosh, that is the worst feeling, especially because in some race championships you are allowed to bump start the cars. At Le Mans you must start on your own accord as the driver. The team cannot help you. So a failed starter motor right now. Martin, what have you seen?
Rain on our window. Again, this is Damon's rain from the station. It is raining in the pits area. It is raining again. It looks even wetter now again. And again, Hugues de Schonack desperately hoping for this 2-4 finish for Toyota to get both cars to the finish. Still can't breathe. 5 minutes to go.
Martin, he's desperately hoping the Audi doesn't finish.
He's desperately hoping his 2 cars... You know, and Liz, this is the lottery with rain. There's no guarantees. None at all. If you're on your own on the track, then it's in your own hands. When you're on the track with 40 other people, it's not.
Yeah, anything can happen. Despite being on wet tires, it's still wet. It's still tricky. It's different conditions. The circuit is really, really greasy now. It's full of debris. It's a difficult time to be on the track at Le Mans anyway, even in the dry. So I think everybody's going to be reining it in a little bit and just looking after the cars.
So the number 2 car of Christensen just ahead of the number 1 car of Trellier. The difference is one is first place, the other's in 5th place. And now Toyota's joined in the back little group. And we're now getting to the stage, Martin, where nobody wants to do another lap, do they? Then they have to.
Yeah. Because it may be the wet lap that puts you in the barriers and out of the race, and to come 24 hours and possibly actually over the 24-hour limit, if you cross the line before the leader gets there after 3 o'clock, you'll have to continue around another 8 miles. And if you run into standing water and clatter into the barriers, you might do the entire 24 hours and still not finish. And how tough would that be?
Now, yeah, the only thing Buemi can do now, he's in the 3rd car in this group of prototypes. If he can unlap himself, at least he would finish on the lead lap, which there is some honour in that, Liz.
Yeah, no, there definitely is. I'm not sure if that's going to be their goal at the moment. I think based on what happened to the number 7 car and the current conditions, they're just going to be looking after the car. This is the final lap we're on, and this is such a... Oh, it's such an awful feeling being there. You're just gripping the steering wheel, praying for the checkered flag to come, keeping the cars in one piece. Oh, a little bit of a hairy pass there.
Now, did we not see Buemi go by?
I believe he's following these 2 Audis.
Yeah, but we saw him go by the leader and unlap himself. How has he dropped back off the lead lap? Or is he caught all the way back up again?
For some reason, no, for some reason it didn't register, so maybe he's 2 laps behind and the monitors weren't showing possibly. It. But
Ollie Gav leaves the pit lane in the 74 Corvette. Out of podium position, both Corvettes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you were right on that, Martin. I think there was a problem where they thought, let's just hold it in pit lane till the last lap so we can limp it round.
Tag behind the leader, and let's see if it'll make it all the way around without going kabang. Well, races are being won with cars, Mark Cole, that shouldn't have done another lap, haven't they?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Rothman's Porsche 1983. It was dying. The engine was seizing up, and they managed just to get that last lap. They even stopped at one point. They got it going on the starter motor again, and Al Holbert brought it home to victory.
And this will be familiar to all old car owners or people who started off in knackered old cars. As he came past the start-finish straight, he smelled the unmistakable smell of the radiator vacating the remnants of its water. That horrible, horrible smell of coolant just whooshed up back in towards him, and he knew he had 8.5 miles to go, and the car was dry. And it was not an air-cooled flat 6, it was a water-cooled flat 6, and they built them tough in Weissach. Somehow it made it round, and they won.
And that gave Vern Schuppen also, of course, his only victory at Le Mans. Vern has that car. It's at home in Australia.
Teams may go to the pit wall. They will go to the pit wall. They've now been given permission to cross the pit road as the cars come back down the Mulsanne straight for the final time. And the engineers on the pit wall will be joined by many, many team members as soon as they see that and get the okay from their team bosses. And yes, the rush begins. And moments later, after the cars cross the line, the rush onto the track to be below the podium at Le Mans will begin as well. Whatever the weather, we've put up with a lot of this in the last 24 hours. Fans have been wet and dry as often as the teams, Liz. But this moment of celebration, this moment of jubilation at the end of this enormous achievement is always to be celebrated.
Yeah, and I think especially this race with everything we've been faced with the tragedy, the hard-fought racing, the difficult conditions, everything, I think the teams are going to be more exhausted than they ever have been before. And it's just a different Le Mans. It's not going to finish the way we always do.
It hasn't flowed, has it?
No, it hasn't. Yeah. It's not, like I say, it's not a Le Mans to remember fondly, I don't think.
Good call from Gary Paravani. He says the number 8 slowed down to let the leaders go by him, so he didn't have to do another lap. And very good point, of course, yes.
Good. Well spotted.
Yeah,
that well spotted, Gary. You, Martin, because you said you thought that.
No, he absolutely passed him for the lead, and then we heard, you know, look after your tyres in case it rains again, and. Okay, he dropped back when Liz was talking, pay attention. I can't watch the screen when Liz is talking because I'm magnetically attracted to listen to her.
So Christensen leading the last lap. Bertrand Baguette leading P2 on the last lap. Richard Lietz for Porsche, a Porsche 1-2, and what a return to Le Mans after 14 years with no factory team here. And of course Porsche victory also in the privateer category, the GT AM for Raymond Norax. high performance, IMSA Performance Matmut team from Rouen.
So that's a win for the 2013 Porsche and the 2012 Porsche. Fantastic from them, a really great effort.
Well, no puncture this time, no dramatic sideways moments caught by the onboard camera, but it will be a fourth second place finish at Le Mans for Toyota. Thinking of Ukyo Katayama's dramatic late race charge to try and catch the winning Audi that was defeated by debris and a puncture. That was then, this is now. Audi's Tom Christensen, Alan McNish and Loic Duval, the man who claimed pole, will win for Audi. They started first, they finished first in the 2013 Le Mans 24 Hours. And if that is all you ever hear about this race, there is so much more that we couldn't possibly fit in. 9 wins now for Mr. Le Mans, and tears in his eyes too, I am very glad to say.
Alan, your third victory here, how much does that mean to you?
Fantastic. It is, for everybody at Audi Sport, it was a tremendously difficult race. There's no question about it. For Tom, Loic and I and our engineer crew, we've had a fantastic start to the season, and it's just so beautiful. 3 is a much nicer number than 2, especially when it's wins at Le Mans.
Thank you very much.
Of course, that car started this race at 1 point ahead in the World Championship. Double points for the win to add to Silverstone.
And we just saw our GTE Pro winner finishing as well. Porsche 1-2 in the GTE Pro class. Oak Racing 1-2 and a Nissan engine 1-2-3-4 in LMP2 as Dr. Ulrich does a Senna stroke Mansell and hitches a ride. And in the GTE AM class, it will be Jean-Carl Vernet who takes victory because Lorenzo Caze in second has already crossed the line and must go around again to finish. Marco Ciocci will complete the podium ahead of a valiant, a really strong run from the Dempsey Del Piero entry. They claim 4th in the amateur class. IMSA Matmut Porsche's first and second nose to tail, but it is the 76 car that wins its GTE AM class. Raymond Narak, Christophe Bourret, and their sub for the weekend, Jean-Carl Vernet. He's done a sterling job along with both drivers. And from Eduardo Freitas, and we echo this, I think, Liz, a huge thank you to everyone for your work on this event. Just above and beyond the Call of Duty probably doesn't quite cover it.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, this race wouldn't happen without the help from the marshals and all the support and the volunteers who put all of their time, their energy and a lot of their life into it. And we do thank you all for everything that you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we did it. Nice one. Congratulations, congratulations. Awesome result.
Such a great moment after last year. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, this time last year I was laying on my back in the Le Mans hospital. But yeah, totally different outcome this year. And I felt like I needed a bit of luck this time. This race has been so cruel to me so many times, but the team has just done an amazing job. We did the best we could. Every call with the tyres, in any situation we extracted the most we could from the car and ourselves as drivers as well. So I'm very proud of the job we've done. Audi are on a different level altogether from the moment we arrived here, and no, I'm just really proud to finally end up on the podium at this race.
And not finish the night at the hospital, you're going to finish the night at the podium.
And obviously I have to say about Alan Simonsen, I've known him since 1996 was the first time I raced with him in go-karts, and I only heard the news after my first quadruple stint. It's very hard, especially with what happened to me last year, to fight my own demons and carry on driving. And yeah, it's sad news, and it puts everything into perspective. And my thoughts go out to his family and the team as well. And I'm sure he would have wanted everyone to carry on racing, and yeah, it's...
Sure, thank you, and joy for him as well.
Thanks.
Well, Liz, Mark, all we can do is echo Anthony's sentiments. I mean, you know, it was a dreadful tragedy for his family, for his wife, for his baby daughter. And for all his friends and his teammates, just heartbreaking and an awful way to start a wonderful motor racing event.
It just reminds us motorsport is dangerous.
Patrick, you end up so close to the podium, but I think this tonight and yesterday and today you impress a lot of people.
So close. We made it. We got here. It's been a great experience. I felt we improved as the race went on, and we finished the race, which is what we wanted to do. We wanted to get on the podium, and we were so close. Patrick did a fantastic job. So did Joe. The team's been great to work with, and it's been a great ride. And it's a shame for it all to come to an end right now. You know, it's very emotional, and we'll probably release a lot and drink a lot tonight. But thank you. It's been fun to be with Eurosport on this and to share this journey. You guys made it very special. You made us look very good, and I can't thank you enough. Everybody at Eurosport and all the fans who supported us along the way. I wish we had a better result for you, but hey, we'll come back next year, hopefully.
Thank you for your kind words. You are a fantastic team, and you did all the very good job. We feel a lot of emotion.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. We're all very tired, very numb. In some ways, it seems like 10 years since we started this project, even though it's only been a few years. Just amazing, and now we definitely...
Well, those of you who caught the long shot of the podium, not only are there lots of Danish flags in the crowd, but as we pull back, you will see that since last night, the Danish flag has been flown at half-mast above the Le Mans podium as a mark of respect for Allan Simonsen. And now, perhaps it will be raised all the way up again for our Danish winner. And I'm sure that we'll have a very, very emotional Tom Kristensen. Mark Cole, of all his wins, this perhaps will mean the most to him here today.
Yeah, Audi's 12th victory at Le Mans.